Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today, we bring you a story full of surprises and hidden angles that few people know about. Don't leave just yet, just when you think you've figured it all out. There are fascinating and meaningful details waiting for you at the end of the video. Let's explore together and uncover the special message this video has for you. Are you ready? Let's get started. My Heritage is a fascinating tapestry woven from ancestors scattered across the globe. Thanks to today's sponsor, My Heritage, I delve into my family tree and uncovered an astonishing revelation. One of my ancestors was linked to the infamous Salem witch trials. Stay tuned for more on that discovery and how you can explore your own history with My Heritage toward the end of the video. Centuries ago, on this very coast, Julius Caesar's legions embarked on their ambitious conquest of Britain, and years later, these same shores beckoned Emperor Napoleon. Driven by relentless ambition, Napoleon assembled over 100,000 soldiers, awaiting only favorable winds to carry the imperial eagle to the Tower of London. Yet his grand designs met a formidable adversary, the Royal Navy, patrolling the seas and blockading French and Spanish fleets. Across Europe, Napoleon, as cunning as he was audacious, crafted a daring plan. He envisioned breaking the blockades at critical ports, eluding British pursuit across the Atlantic, and commanding the English Channel long enough to land his invasion force. "Let us be masters of the Channel for 6 hours," he proclaimed, "and we are masters of the world." In spring 1805, French Vice Admiral Villeneuve escaped the port of Toulon, sparking a race against time. The one to pursue him was none other than Vice Admiral Horatio Nelson, a sailor whose very name struck fear into French hearts. Nelson, revered by his countrymen and even respected by his foes, was a man driven by loyalty to England, its traditions, and its turbulent colonial past. Nelson's naval genius had already left its mark on history. He crushed Napoleon's fleet during the Egyptian campaign of 1798 and emerged victorious at Copenhagen in 1801. Though battle had claimed his arm, it had not diminished his fiery resolve. "I would willingly see half my fleet burned," he once wrote, "to destroy the French." Now, he pursued Villeneuve across the Atlantic to the West Indies, where reinforcements awaited the Franco-Spanish fleet. Villeneuve, seeking to outmaneuver the British, doubled back toward Europe. However, his retreat faltered as he hesitated to face Nelson's forces. After a brief, fog-shrouded skirmish, Villeneuve ignored Napoleon's orders to enter the English Channel and instead sought refuge in Cadiz. There, the relentless British blockade pinned his fleet, a stark reminder of the Royal Navy's dominance. For years, British ships had deprived France of vital supplies and naval experience, building a seafaring force unmatched in discipline and spirit. This power came at a cost. Countless civilians were seized by press gangs, conscripted into service, and torn from their families. As Napoleon turned his attention to the Austrian and Russian armies gathering in the east, he ordered the invasion camps disbanded, leaving his plans for England in ruins. Meanwhile, Nelson arrived outside Cadiz aboard the towering HMS Victory, ready to lead the British fleet. Villeneuve, reluctant to engage, finally set sail toward Cape Trafalgar on October 19th after learning Napoleon intended to replace him. The British fleet, ever watchful, closed in. Far from the naval drama unfolding at sea, Napoleon was triumphing at home, lamenting what might have been. "Soldiers," he declared, "today we should have been in London, avenging centuries of insults and reclaiming the freedom of the seas." Yet fate and the formidable Nelson had other plans. Unaware of the destiny awaiting him, Nelson prepares for the clash that will decide the fate of the seas. On the morning of October 21st, his fleet closes in on the Franco-Spanish Armada. Outnumbered, 27 ships of the line against 33, and 17,000 men to the enemy's 30,000. The British possess a critical edge, superior training, and Nelson's meticulous strategy. Instead of engaging in a long-range exchange, Nelson plans a bold assault. He divides his fleet into 2 columns, aiming to break the enemy line into 3 chaotic segments, where British gun crews can dominate in brutal close-quarters combat. Nelson leads the northern column aboard Victory, while Vice Admiral Collingwood commands the southern column on Royal Sovereign. With faint winds, the ships creep forward, patriotic tunes filling the long hours of suspense. As the fleets near, Nelson signals his famous command. England expects that every man will do his duty. The first shots thunder from the Franco-Spanish ships, ripping through British sails and splintering beams. The British, angled forward, cannot effectively return fire. Young sailors endure the hellish bombardment. A 16-year-old boy witnessing his comrades' head blasted away, later writing, "My ears rang with the shrieks of the wounded and the moans of the dying." Collingwood's Royal Sovereign breaks the enemy line first, unleashing a devastating broadside into a Spanish ship, igniting the carnage. To the north, victory approaches under relentless fire from several ships, including Villeneuve's flagship and the mighty Santissima Trinidad, bristling with 136 guns. Nelson, resolute on the quarterdeck, watches as a shot shatters the ship's wheel, forcing 40 men below deck to steer through verbal commands. Beside him, Secretary Scott is torn in half by cannon fire. Undeterred, victory smashes through the enemy line behind Villeneuve's flagship, unleashing double and triple shot guns that rip through the French stern, killing or maiming hundreds. Victory then closes on the 74-gun French Redoutable. Lacking the British rate of fire, the French rely on musket and grenade volleys from infantry packed aboard. A sharpshooter finds his mark. Nelson falls, declaring, "My backbone is shot through." He is carried below deck as the Redoutable attempts to board Victory. Chaos erupts until a British ship arrives, delivering a devastating broadside that crushes the French attack. Amid collapsing masts and cannon blasts, the decks of the Redoutable are littered with the wounded and dead, with only 78 survivors from a crew of over 600. As the battle rages, the wounded are taken below to the grim confines of the lower decks. Surgeons saw off mangled limbs, working tirelessly among the dying and the damned. In the dim belly of Victory, Nelson, paralyzed from the chest down, refuses attention, urging the surgeon to focus on others. Above, cheers erupt as enemy ships surrender, and Captain Thomas Hardy visits Nelson to bring news of the battle. Victory is certain, Hardy reports. Not a single British ship lost, and 14 or 15 enemy vessels taken. Nelson, weak but defiant, replies, "That is well, but I bargained for 20. In his final moments, Hardy kisses Nelson's cheek and forehead as the Admiral whispers his last words. "God bless you, Hardy. Thank God I have done my duty." Nelson dies shortly after 4 o'clock. His passing casts a shadow over the fleet, with sailors and officers openly weeping for their fallen hero. As the sun sets, flames aboard the French ship Achille reach the magazine, sealing the fate of another vessel. The fiery explosion and the final cries of a sinking ship mark the end of the Battle of Trafalgar, a conflict that leaves the sea strewn with wreckage, splintered masts, torn sails, lifeless bodies, and desperate survivors clinging to hope. The toll is staggering. Around 1,700 British casualties and over 7,000 dead or wounded among the Franco-Spanish forces, with an equal number taken prisoner. More than half of the enemy fleet is captured as British prizes, while a few manage to flee. True to Catholic tradition, the French and Spanish keep their dead aboard for proper burials on land. A 16-year-old British sailor who boards the Santissima Trinidad recalls the grisly scene. Her beams were covered with blood, brains, and pieces of flesh. As if the battle's horrors weren't enough, a brutal hurricane lashes the crippled fleets for a week. A French sailor recounts survivors dragging their shattered bodies across jagged shores, only to succumb to the inevitable. By the battle's end, Napoleon's naval ambitions are in ruins, and his dream of invading Britain is forever dashed. In England, the victory is bittersweet. The triumph at Trafalgar, though monumental, is overshadowed by the loss of Admiral Nelson, the nation's hero, who fell at the height of his glory. The British people mourn as they witness his grand state funeral. A somber procession adorned with flags captured in battle and attended by high-profile prisoners, including Vice Admiral Villeneuve. The disgraced Villeneuve is later returned to France in a prisoner exchange, where he faces shame and the ire of Napoleon. Not long after, Villeneuve is found dead in a hotel room. Official reports claim suicide, but the method, 6 stab wounds to the lungs and 1 to the heart, fuels speculation that darker forces were at play. Trafalgar secures British dominance over the seas for generations, but Napoleon, undeterred, achieves a resounding victory on land at Austerlitz, dismantling the Holy Roman Empire and cementing his power in Europe. The war continues, reshaping the continent with each new battle. Amid these sweeping historical events, I've always felt a pull to uncover my own family's past, though it seemed like a daunting task. Being of Filipino, Irish, Polish, Scottish, and a bit of English descent, my lineage is anything but straightforward. That's why I partnered with MyHeritage, a tool that makes exploring family history remarkably simple. By inputting just a few names, I was alerted to an array of records, matches, and even connected family trees. With access to over 19 billion historical records, MyHeritage has become the leading platform for genealogy research. Through their services, I uncovered incredible stories. An Irish baptism record from 1859, the exact date and city where my great-grandfather emigrated to the U.S., and even a New England ancestor, Benjamin Marshall, who signed a letter defending a couple accused of witchcraft during the Salem witch trials. Although the husband was tragically executed, the wife was eventually spared. These glimpses into the lives of my ancestors feel priceless, helping me bring their stories to light. What's more, MyHeritage can breathe life into old photos by colorizing and animating them, making the past feel remarkably present. That's why I'm excited to share a 14-day free trial of MyHeritage with you, along with a 50% discount on a subscription if you decide to continue. Discovering your history has never been easier or more rewarding. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. If you found this story interesting and meaningful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any exciting content coming up. Leave a comment to share your thoughts. We're eager to hear from you. See you in the upcoming videos with more unique and meaningful stories. Stay with us.